Okay, hi. We're trying to locate our facilitator, who's Thobile Maphanga. She was here literally a second ago. So Sasha and I are going to wing exhibit. I am Sharlene Versfeld. I'm a publicist. I've worked in the arts industry probably since professionally since 1987. I studied drama at the University of KwaZulu-Natal in Pietermaritzburg and specialized in dance in my honors year. And I have worked independently as a publicist in the arts sector since about 1993 and have worked on the last 23 Jomba Contemporary Dance Festivals with Leanne Lutz and the rest of the Center for Creative Arts. So that's me, and over to you, Sasha Fourie.
Cool. So I studied dance at UCT, or at the time it was called the UCT School of Dance. Graduated, freelanced for few small companies, and now I function as an independent solo artist. So I choreograph, perform, teach, hustle, as an artist, trying to convince people to pay me to make art, which is a difficult thing to do. And I also run an online platform with my best friend, and it's called Smudge Screen, and we sort of release regular dance-based content for now. We'll branch out to other things at a later stage. Yeah, so that's me in a nutshell.
Cool. And hello, Toby, you back?
Hi guys. So sorry. I fell off right at the beginning there. I hear you guys are introducing yourselves. So Charl, have you had a chance yet?
I did. And so did Sasha, yeah.
Good afternoon to everybody who's joining us, and I apologize for my technical difficulties. I'd like to welcome everybody who has joined onto our YouTube channel and our Facebook page to watch the first ever Forging Alliances platform brought to you by Jomba Contemporary Dance Experience Festival. Just to introduce this platform, because it is new, the aim of this platform is to provide dance makers with industry-specific information that assists in building fortified relationships and partnerships across creative technical spaces that border digital and live dance. So I think the main thing is for us is that we're acknowledging that we've all had to suddenly move from this very beautiful live performance and being in each other's space to this very distant kind of digital world. And although we can still create our art, just to try and figure out how do we do it better and how do we do it correctly. So today's panel, we have Sharlene Versfeld, who's already introduced herself as a publicist, and she is the Jomba Contemporary Dance Experience publicist. And we've also got Sasha Myberg, who is an independent dancer, but who has, for me, I think, one of the most beautiful social media presence with her artwork. And I thought it would be a great idea just to have these two wonderful women be in conversation with us and kind of help us as these new digital dance makers understand what kind of terrain we're in, to understand how better to market ourselves, because it's all good and well that we make this beautiful work, but how do we get it out to our audiences, and how do we build a community that supports and knows where to find our work and how to access our work. So if I can throw it to you, Charl, publicist and somebody who doesn't only work on Jomba, but you've also worked on DIF, and you've worked on Encounters, you've worked on various festivals, which have all had to go digital. What are some of the things that you would ask artists to do, or you expect artists to do, or you think artists might benefit from doing in getting their work seen and also trying to build audiences for their work?
Okay, so this is a long one. Okay, you ready for it? Okay, so I think if there was going to be a very short answer, it's like the most important thing is content, but that doesn't necessarily it isn't necessarily a necessary thing that happened because of the digital space that we work in now. It's always been the case, but I think now with us all going digital, it's become more evident that the more content we have, the easier it is to actually sell and create opportunities and content for our social media platforms. So for me, key, and I often when I give talks to, especially to young filmmakers, is what content are you giving over to a festival or to the theatre that you're going to, and have a look at that content that you are creating as you are creating your work. So I often get, for example, I work on a lot of film. So I get a film coming to a film festival and I have 4 images given to me. And those 4 images were taken with a cell phone on the set, boom, boom. And now the expectation is that you can try and sell this film on those 4 images. And they're not good images. They don't actually speak to what the content of the film is. And it becomes very difficult. So what happens is that the better pictures, the better content moves to the top of the pile, and those whatever they are, whether it's the dance work or the artwork or the poetry or whatever it is with the better content in a festival context, will always move to the top of the pile because it is visually more interesting for the festival publicist or the festival marketing people to have stuff that is going to actually draw people to look at the content on their particular platforms. And the same applies with the media. I've got a wonderful, I mean, Leanne Lutz will attest to this particular one, and I can't remember the name of the dance company, but they had these incredible photographs. So obviously we get, you know, in a festival, we'll have 50 different types of images that we need to use. And some will always float to the top because they are better pictures. And this particular picture ended up being front page of like 5 or 6 different newspapers on the same day. And we went, oh my gosh, you know, it looks like we're favoring them, but it wasn't. It was because the pictures were really strong and really good. So for me, it's within the digital context. It is about good photographs. It's about sending through really good video content. So whether it's an introduction to your work, whether it's an explanation of your work, whether it's you in conversation with your dancers or your producers, or if it's behind the scenes, but it comes as a package to the festival. Look, here's stuff you can use on your social media platforms. So that for me is quite key in terms of where we're going from a digital perspective.
Sure, thanks, Charl. That's, yeah, but I think it's that stuff that we sometimes often don't think about, right? So I think what you're saying is that it is about the quality, it's also about the amount. Like, so, because at first when you started speaking, you were like content, and I was like, should we just be like sending you everything? But you're saying we need to be selective and try and find our best stuff. So think about it as a visual kind of teaser to what we are going to then present in the full, is what I'm trying understanding from you. Sasha, I'd love for you to chip in on this because, as I said in the introduction, I believe you've got a really beautiful Instagram page, which I now follow and religiously look through. But I mean, you have managed to kind of create a very beautiful and very strong kind of presence on Instagram. How have you worked out how to do or who what pictures, like how did you figure out what to do when you kind of started doing this? Because I think you started doing it before we had to do it, you know, like now everybody has to do it, but before you kind of were already doing it. So what pushed you to that, and how do you select? Like, could you give some tips maybe?
So I'm still figuring it out. You sort of learn and play around as you go. So I've been putting out content for 2 years. The first year was me just doing stuff with other people. And then a year ago, when shortly after the pandemic hit and when restrictions allowed, my friend and I got together and we were like, theaters are closed. We lost work that was lined up. And without even realizing it, it was just going to be one video and we were going to do it once off just to sort of feed ourselves creatively. And then we put a name to it, and we started developing a brand basically. And I think that's important, that you have a specific look or color scheme or mood, that's yours. And my friend always makes a joke and she says, yes, it's part of your brand. And as much as it is a joke, it's really true. Because if you want algorithms to pick up, you need to be consistent, with the way you're presenting yourself. And then how else? Our stuff is, the stuff that I put out is really good quality. We get professional videographers and photographers, but we have released stuff that have been shot on an iPhone. And I suppose we've just been clever about how we've angled it and so on. And you can produce really quality stuff off your phone. I was listening to a podcast last night, and there's some artist, she shot a music video. She's really well done. I forgot her name. She took the flashlight on her phone, she took a pink t-shirt and she wrapped it around her phone, created beautiful lights and stuff just in the lounge. So yeah, so it's nice to have budget and to be able to hire people and to produce good quality stuff. But the ease, if you're clever about it and you understand how to navigate through your phone and things like that, then you can produce cool stuff. And I think being consistent is difficult, to pump out content all the time, but that's one of the main things. I struggle with it on my personal platform. I sort of keep things going on the story, but on my regular feed or timeline, I'm a bit up and down. So consistency and find a way of tailoring yourself, making yourself a brand so that you sort of identifiable.
Thanks, Sash. I think that this building a brand idea, I think we all kind of started joking around with it because I think it was a kind of like a celebrityism thing. But I think it is really true. I think if we can build a brand and you can build an identity, people are able to easily identify and they also know what to expect from you, which is helpful. One of the things that you touched on was this idea of consistency, and also with that comes those algorithms. You also spoke about algorithms, and like for people like me who are like technophobes, we're like, what is an algorithm? But I know Charl, obviously because you are putting out a lot of content on the social medias, Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and stuff. You have often made like you need to get people to engage in order for those things to kind of, what happens with the engagement? How much content should one be producing so that we are at the top of the feeds and stuff like that? Do you guys have, like, I know that none of you have like the technicalities behind it, and that's not what I'm asking really, but I mean, how would you maybe recommend or suggest to people who are listening, is there like specific times that people should be producing or putting up their stuff, or should people be putting up like 10 posts a day, or should it be like more like 1 post a day is enough? I know like some people, I've gone off certain accounts because I felt like they put up too much, like they're constantly on my feed and I'm like, I can't just be looking at your stuff. So how do people work out a balance there?
Oh, sure. I mean, today I think on our Jomba Facebook page, they've just been, because Kaluma blog's been going. So we've got stuff that needs to go up, but then the Kaluma blog's coming in. So it's like, I think they're like 10 posts or something. So yeah, there is a lot. But, you know, I think it just depends. And certainly I'm not an expert when it comes to, you know, timings and that kind of stuff at all. But, you know, for example, other clients that I'm working on, we look at, you know, maximum of say 3 posts a day leading up to a particular event, and then maybe 5 in the duration of the event, because then people really are then on the treadmill of the actual event itself, you know, and then before that, just maybe 1 a day, and then perhaps before that, once a week or whatever it might be. But I think it all depends, you know what I mean? I think there can be overload. But I also don't know. I can't answer the questions around, in terms of how the algorithm will pick or won't pick up your stuff. But I think the thing is, and it's something, it's just to point out, if there are a lot of dancers and dance makers watching here, is that is to participate on the platform. So it's to like the posts, it's to make a comment about the posts, it's to, if you watch last night's opening, is to put a comment on, that was just, I mean, for me, it was just fascinating, for example, seeing the body of Jay Pather's work. And I'm just interested in that, what people think about that, you know what I mean? So it's about how the dance makers involve themselves within that particular festival to kind of get that conversation going as well. And I suppose in a way, from a Jomba perspective, we could be putting posts up saying like, what did you think of that? Or what was your reaction? But in a way, it doesn't feel right to be putting that sort of stuff up on an arts page. I don't know if that makes any sense. I mean, I would put it up, say, if it was for Doritos, like, what did you think of Doritos? I don't know. But yeah, so there are different ways that people, doing social media will draw out the conversations. One particular thing I'm doing at the moment, we ask people like, how far will you be running? And then, there's 60 comments, like 10, 5, 4, whatever. And it seems like a bit of a sort of, nebulous question, but people are now, that post is like happily engaged with, so I suppose it just depends on the kind of what's the word I'm trying to think of, the context of your particular social media page. There's some things with Jomba that doesn't feel right to be going woohoo, you know what I mean, because it's kind of serious stuff, so anyway, yeah, I don't know if that answers your question. Just an interesting thing, I mean, I stand to be corrected on this, and the experts can probably say, but your organic posts, they reckon it's something like 3% of the people that have liked your page will actually see your organic stuff. The rest of it has to be have some kind of budget placed behind it. So yeah, I hope that sort of answers. Don't know, does it?
Yeah, that definitely answers. And also that's a really interesting statistic there, Charl, that only 3%, like, wow. I'm like, damn it, I've been only doing organic stuff.
It's a horrible number. It's a terrible number. Yeah.
But I think also, like, I like what you mentioned at the beginning there, that it's almost like a build-up, like we start off at like 1 post a week to like 1 a day to about 3 a day when you're hitting your stride and stuff. I suppose that is a way to kind of start to get people noticing, which would then mean that people need to also think about their marketing strategy, would you not say, Charl? In terms of like, if something's coming up, to be prepared that it's not just the day before that I put something up. I actually have to think about, how do I get more and more people to engage?
Yeah, I mean, Sasha, maybe you want to answer that, but look, it takes a while for example, if you put up paid for advertising, it takes a while for your ad to actually get some kind of traction. It doesn't happen like within a day. It takes a few days for your advert to kind of like to roll, you know what I mean? But Sasha, I don't know if you want to comment on that at all.
Yeah, how do I even start? So when we release content, there is a build up. So you release a few images, and this is like 2 weeks before the time, to create a hype around it, I suppose. So something is coming, like a trailer, and I don't know, people do countdowns on social media. Yeah, that's the only way that I really know how to do it, is like market like way before the time. And if you're presenting a theater work, the marketing needs to start way before, more than an Instagram video or something else, because generating a theater audience is obviously that's a whole different ball game. Yeah, I don't know if I answered that. Yeah, that's good.
You guys have definitely answered the questions, and I think it's also I'm glad that you brought in the idea of live versus digital, because I kind of feel like you know, live is a once-off thing. So like if the show is running for one night only, or like only a weekend, people have a limited time to kind of view it. Whereas something that's digital, there's often more opportunities to watch. How do you guys find the same thing? And do you think like, is it a bit harder to advertise for digital because people think I don't have to watch it today, I can watch it, do you know what I mean? I can watch it another time. And then, you know, it kind of is this never ending thing. I know that I watched very little on the National Arts Festival this year, although they started their marketing, you know, months before. Because I thought I had so much time to kind of do it, I found that I didn't really catch a lot.
Yeah, you know, I honestly think, because I mean, I've worked a lot in this space, and I think, I don't know, I speak for myself, but I also know, chatting to other people, that we're a little bit fatigued at the moment around this watching stuff online, you know. So, for example, I watched stuff on Diff, and I thought that it was a superb program, and there was so much to watch. And I was like, clicking the button, I've got to watch that, and I rented that, and, you know, and then I think I might have watched 8 or between 8 and 10 films. I can't remember. And some of those were 7-minute shorts. But there is a sort of an element of exhaustion. I think we're on Zoom a lot. We're working, you know, 24/7 behind our laptops. And so I think that we're not as, perhaps last year we were desperate, you know, to consume a lot more. So yeah, I think that just, and it's anecdotal. I mean, I would not have any stats, but just knowing the kind of the arts community that I am around, we kind of dabble a bit, but not as much as we were last year, you know. So yeah, I don't know if that answers the question. I've segued away. Are you there, Toby? Have we lost her?
No, I think she dropped out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
is she?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear.
Yeah.
Okay, she's dropped. Do you want to answer to that? Oh, we've got her back.
Okay.
No, thanks, Charles, for that. I think we're all learning. Sash, do you have? Can you guys hear me? I feel like hello.
Yeah, it's not great. Yeah,
it's like coming in and out. What are we talking about? Theatre sort of versus on-screen experiences. Yeah, I think the point that you brought up about exhaustion, yeah, it is a thing. I really enjoy dance when it's or art when it's specifically made for screen, and maybe also my attention span is, I don't know, that of a goldfish now. So when it's done in short spurts, then I'm like, yes, this is cool. I can watch this 3-minute video. But watching an hour-long theater performance on screen, it just doesn't do it for me. So I totally get that. And I think at the back of my mind, I also know I'm like, this is for theater, and I know that I'm missing out on that, which you can't you have to be in the theater. You can't replace that feeling on screen. Is that sort of kinesthetic experience when you breathe with the performance, and it's you can really feel it. So at the back of my mind, I am a bit like, oh, I wish I was in the theater, because this is just not the same thing. But don't get me wrong, I love Instagram. I love seeing short dance films, but I prefer it when it's catered specifically for screen. Yeah.
Is Toby there?
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
we can. Yeah.
So I love what you say there, Sash, because I think that's also a very talking to the content. That's a really good point, is that when people do start to create for the digital, we need to remember that that we are creating for a medium that has existed before our live performances went digital. And so to be interesting in the shots and not to just give us a flat kind of view of one thing. I don't know. I feel like, because I also understand that I've kind of, I feel like I don't have a fitness, the same kind of fitness for sitting through a very long archival piece, whereas if it's something that's been created specifically for dance film, they generally are shorter. I don't know why we do that, but they are shorter. And because of the interesting angles, and because it's been created specifically for that medium, I'm able to engage with it. But we've gotten a question from one of our viewers that I'd like to read. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so the question is from Gareth Nash, and he's asking, in terms of the creation of the brand for existing and emerging artists, can you offer guidelines as to what makes for an engaging image for promotional purposes? And then the second part is, or are there workshops as part of a festival that people can attend to learn the what and how? Oh, that's really interesting with the workshops vibe. Who would like to take that one as to like what makes for engaging promotional material? I think Charles has already said that quality, like good quality photography and good quality content, and also like context that it speaks to your piece or whatever it is that you are trying to promote. But have you guys got anything else that you might want to add there?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you trawl through good Instagram, and I suppose, Gareth, if you were to look through some of the, just, I don't know, go and search either on Instagram or Facebook, just search some dance companies and just see how they are presenting their stuff, you know what I mean, and see what resonates with you. But generally, a clearer picture is always a better picture. I mean, I look at some of the stuff, for example, on the Jomba page, and some of the pictures you'll see, you react to better than other pictures. Often dance, as you know, in on stage is dark. You know, it's the dancers love to have low light on their pieces. So often the stuff that's been on stage comes really, really dark, and those pictures are not as easily picked up, I suppose, when you're trawling, when you're scrolling through. Your eyes go to certain things that are more that are perhaps sort of clearer. So I suppose the framing of the picture, the way that the person is positioned, whether it's persons on the side or the middle, or how much of the person or the dancer is taking of the work, whether it's blurred, whether it's supposed to be blurred or not. I mean, if you go into Val Adamson's exhibition on the Jomba side, you see a lot of that stuff is really, really good, and some of it were really well as kind of clickbait to kind of get people to like that, but others might be too blurry for that context and might be better as a front page of the Sunday Times, you know. So I think that it's kind of an aesthetic that one would need to choose oneself, but there are some things that just aren't good, you know what I mean. There are some photographs that just don't work, you know. And I think, speaking on what Sasha was saying, is to try and get, if it's your own brand, is how those particular pictures speak to your particular brand. In the case of a thing like Jomba, we have to have the branding because the photographs come to us and those aren't all the same. They can't all be the same because they come from different companies, you know. So I don't know if that helps, but yeah, it's an aesthetic that one has to choose for one's own brand, you know. And I think, because if you look at Sasha's stuff, you get a sense of how they've selected photographs that speak to a certain feeling, and it evokes something for that particular brand. Sasha, do you want to?
That's a hard one. Like, how to get engagement from the digital audience. Yeah, I suppose it depends who you're pitching it to as well. For me, I'm just trying to get people to see my stuff, and I don't care how old they are or anything like that. And it's I completely agree with you about better quality looking video and images. But sometimes I get more hits on stuff that's just a crappy picture. And I'm like, what's going on? Why are people liking this and commenting? And then it goes over my head. I don't know. Like 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2 in that situation. So yeah, so sometimes things are strange, right? Like you expect, like you're like, okay, this is how it's working. I'm sort of getting this many likes if I present my video like this. I can sort of predict what's going to happen, and then one day, poof, like I don't know, the digital audience just does something completely different. I on my personal feed, I posted. I had COVID. I just came out of isolation on Monday. And I posted a video of my journey. It was a terrible video. I did it on my phone, just like low quality, barely any effort. And I've posted full on really good quality dance forms before that. And the hits on that stupid COVID reel got like quadruple the amount of hits that what I've gotten on my fully professionally shot videos. So that's really interesting. I have no idea how to navigate through that. So I just wanted to make that point. Sorry, it doesn't really help.
Well, I suppose it's like when you change your profile pictures, you get like, 300 comments, love your picture, but then you've just before that you've posted this really deep, meaningful political statement, and then like no one's even made a comment, Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so strange. Yeah, but anyway, so you just sort of have to figure it out as you go along.
Yeah.
Is Toby still there?
Yeah, I think that's really the big thing. I think we're all learning as we go, right? I think it's new to everybody, and we're all kind of just figuring it out. But I think there is also something to say with people wanting to see reality on social media. I think, when social media first started, everybody was posting up their perfectly curated and like styled and like, do you know what I mean? Kind of almost like set up and posed kind of photography. People were showing their best lines, and I think there's something to be said in terms of like, maybe it's because we're going through COVID and the pandemic plus all the other stuff on us.
Did you, Toby? I don't know. I've lost you. Sasha, could you hear?
No, it's also
People
We've
glitchy there.
okay. Toby, we can't hear you. Right. Okay. So we can't hear Toby. So there is a question in the chat here.
Oh, she can't hear us.
Yeah.
I suppose I'm trying to sort of just figure out from kind of what she was trying to say. Oh, there she dropped out.
Okay. All right. So do you want to carry on, Sasha? What you're going to say?
Yeah. So I think what I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I was getting from it that she was talking about posting things that are not so picture perfect and sort of sharing just sharing more about things that are more, I don't know, authentic or a bit more real. I think that's what I was getting.
Yeah.
And I think people do connect to that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've noticed that on my personal feed that when you share when you display a bit of vulnerability and you share something that's very personal in your life, people connect to that. And I have a disability, and I posted a video about it, just like sharing my experience and how I navigate through my life, having to deal with it. And it got the most engagement that I've ever received on my personal feed. And it's because, I mean, you can do that with dance form and all of that, but yeah, there's something to be said about opening up a space where, yeah, where we can post things that people can connect with on a deeper level, as opposed to, oh, this is a great dance form, or oh, that's a really cool picture. Yeah, I think people are wanting that. They need to be able to connect to something on a, I don't know, on a deeper level.
Authentic level, yeah. Is Toby back with us? Oh, she's frozen. There are two questions here. I think if we could just, Saralee Castellane, hello. What about written content in relationship to publicity? Any advice? So can I answer that?
I think you should answer that.
Okay, so what is interesting? I mean, I completely think that there is this huge, still a huge appetite for what we would call traditional publicity, which would then be reviews and critical thinking and Q&As and live interviews on TV and live interviews on radio and pre-record and all that kind of stuff. So often I think in this whole digital space, people forget that that's also an area which actually then feeds back into social media in itself. I recently worked on a film which was through Africa, where I was only contracted to do the traditional media with another person here in South Africa. And the content was just enormous in terms of the appetite of people wanting to do, live interviews, Zoom interviews, pre-records, Q&A, features, photo shoots, that kind of stuff. So that still exists. And I think it's important that dance makers remember that that's also still traditional PR can still help feed into the social media spaces, so that was the one thing. And Saralee, I think the one thing all of us working in the art sphere, critical writing, reviews and critical writing is what we as artists, as people involved in the sector, if we don't have that, it's almost like your calling card, So if you have a film and it's been at the Durban International Film Festival and no one has actually reviewed it, and then you almost have what is the next step to go from there? The same with, say, for example, with Jomba. If you've had your premiere of your dance work at Jomba and there's been no review of it, I'm not saying it's the be all end all, but I'm just saying to have a review of your artwork done by a peer who has knowledge of the sector, for you to then be able to go to the next festival or whatever, it becomes the calling card. And that's why I know Saralee is involved with the Kaluma blog, which is a beautiful program within Jomba, where we have, and I don't know, you can tell me on the chat how many, we have students from around the world working on learning and being mentored on how to write critical writing around reviews and critical writing around dance per se. And that kind of stuff's still important. And that then feeds in again to create the social media content for your various platforms, So don't outrule the traditional. People are still reading. I mean, it might not feel like that, but they're still reading. They're still looking at reviews. They're still, reading food reviews, for example. They're reading reviews on films and on, TV series and visual arts and that kind of stuff. So yeah. Okay, that was the answer to that question. I don't know if you want to answer anything like that. Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
I can see the chat. I don't know why I didn't open it up. Yeah, I think that is a good point, not to negate like digital's not the be all and end all. There's a whole, my mother, she's always like, Sasha, I don't have time for that. So, and she says to me, I want to see a poster, I want to see a live interview. So yeah, there is that audience that still wants to see that. And I think that skill of also engaging in an interview or something like this is really cool, to be able to articulate and just engage about your art form, and not through pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is, I think it's a skill that's also it's getting lost as we move on and on. Which is a bit of a pity. Yeah.
It's Toby back.
Yeah. So thank you very much for holding. Thank you for holding, guys. You're the best panelists in the world. I appreciate that.
We sell service.
You guys are the best. This is really what conversation is about. But I also like what Sasha's starting to bring in there about like skill sets. So I've been listening to you guys talk about this idea about like traditional marketing forms that Sarah Lee brought up versus the digital. And I think, Charles, you were saying that there's place for both. And I think it's very necessary to have both aspects of it. Like Sasha's saying, her mom's not interested in all this digital stuff. She wants to see like a traditional poster and all that kind of stuff. And I think a lot of people are still reading. So they want to read the review in order to engage with people's work and stuff. But in terms of like having to move to the digital, being in a space where we're all still figuring it out and we're all learning, are you guys finding that that people need to be multi-skilled? I know that like, Charles, you and I have spoken about this idea that artists sometimes think that the only thing that they need to do is create their art. And you mentioned a story about how Van Gogh only sold very few paintings, although he was this, he is this most prolific artist. And it was simply because he didn't have a good publicist, or somebody to. So are you guys saying that artists now need to kind of think more outside of the work, just the work that they're doing, and be thinking about how to market and how to sell, all those kinds of things?
Sasha, do you want to start? Or
Yes.
You're doing
if you're trying to pay your rent just off making art, you're probably not going to make your rent at the end of every month. So I do think, being multi-skilled, or just trying to find other things about yourself or skills within yourself that you can expand on. I think it's needed. Yeah, I think we, I don't know, as an artist, I feel like now that's where it's going. You need to be able to do more than one thing if you want to survive in life.
I think you're right. I think over the years I've worked with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of writers, dancers, filmmakers, poets, visual artists, whatever. Okay, and in the early days of when I was working in the 80s and the early 90s in formal theatre, there was a whole machinery that got the art going. So there would be a marketing department and flyers and posters, and there would be this entire machinery that would take this work to a consumer to watch it or take it up or experience it, and now we don't have the luxury, and I think there are a lot more artists around working independently. There isn't that machinery that supports the artists. So I work a lot with filmmakers who come to festivals with very little material, and I work, as I say, and I see it with the work that the stuff that comes through from the dance makers, and it's with all respect that I know that you are artists, you are creating work. The last thing you think about is, who's going to actually consume the work. when I say the last thing, it is something that obviously it comes in, but the focus, and that's what it should be, is on the creation. But in this day and age, it can't just end there. So when I speak to artists, I say, you're in the process of making this work. You must have a friend that's got a camera, a phone, who can do some behind the scenes interviews with you, take some photographs, create content so that when your stuff eventually you're giving it to a festival or it's being bought by a festival, that you come with some package for the festival, or for the theatre that you're taking it to, or for the online platform or whatever it is, because in itself, it doesn't just exist, So with Jomba, this thing wouldn't exist if we just put the piece on. We need to tell people to watch the piece, and if we don't have material to be able to do that, it's really difficult. Then we've got to make it up, So I think in terms of artists need to, as they go through the process, is, if I'm painting a picture, maybe I should take some photographs of me starting this picture. So I've got that journey. Maybe I need to have a photograph or an interview with my friend, taking an interview of me going, I really got this idea, but I don't know if it's going to work or whatever. So there's eventually, when this thing comes to its fruition, it's got a kind of package that you can hand over. I'm being a bit flippant about it, but I see so many lost opportunities that artists could have taken to really push their stuff at festivals and get it through above all the clutter. Yeah, I don't know. Does that help?
So you're saying that how do I say this? So yeah, so artists sort of, that's the one product that they're going to present, but they need to expand the package a bit more. So as a result, you need to be able to, develop behind the scenes skills. How are you going to capture that, or capture with the photography?
I think Sasha,
so that it's a bit more well-rounded package.
Yeah. It's a collation of the information, so it's not too difficult. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just to have the end game. When this thing goes, when it goes to the festival. If I don't have a picture or still of me, of this video that I've done, someone's going to take a screen grab. And we all know that screen grabs aren't as good as having the real deal. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
I also think, Charl, what you are suggesting is a bit of a behind the scenes. So a bit of a documentation of your process, which I don't think is so hard in the day of everybody having a cell phone and everybody having a camera on their cell phone.
Yeah.
In a way, to what Sharlene was talking about earlier, is that it also starts to document.
We lost you, Toby.
Yeah.
Process of making, which is important to artists. I think when people start to interview you about stuff, you've got to look back on and be like, oh, when I'm studying my jam, this kind of Lou.
Yeah, I'm getting the gist of it.
Yeah, it's kind of like documenting your stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I really enjoy that behind the scenes process, and seeing how the end product came to be.
And also, I don't know about you, Sasha, I love watching, for example, when you've watched a movie or whatever, and then there's been an interesting, it's an interesting subject matter, the context is interesting, and then there's a behind the scenes discussion around why did you get there. I mean, I would love to get into some of the heads of some of the work that is presented in contemporary dance. When you sometimes you walk out of it, you go, wow, I'm not quite sure where that went, and then you sit and Adrian Sichel talk to someone about the work, and go, okay, that is interesting. So yeah.
That's so true. I did a live show. Thank goodness I could do that. The COVID restrictions at the time allowed for it, and we did a Q&A at the end of it, and a behind the scenes short, I think it was 5 to 10 minute film, just the making of it. And so many people came up to me afterwards, and they said it gave them closure, because contemporary dance is sometimes it's difficult for the average person to get. So that discussion afterwards, how did the work come about, engaging with the audience. So that was very cool that people loved it so much. And I think moving forward, that's something that I'll definitely do a bit more of.
Yeah. There's a question in the chat. I'm assuming Toby's not here. Toby, if you are, just like yell, but it says, Tammy Ballantyne, platforms like a blog, website, links to the actual events, etc., are vital because media houses have taken so much space away from the arts and we need spaces to write and publish. Yeah, I mean, I think that's so true, Tammy, and you also try and do your bits in terms of getting critical writing out there for dance. But I must say, in the last while, I've seen some platforms really coming to the fore in terms of, starting to sort of profile dance stuff, which has been quite interesting. It's still really not critical writing, but it's creating opportunities for the content to be placed on different websites and that sort of stuff. But yeah, I think blogs are good. So Sasha, we're going to start looking at your blog that you're going to start. Hey?
I actually do want to start one. I've been saying this for I'm like, yeah, I really enjoy writing, and I need to stop making excuses. I just need to start. Yeah, definitely.
Have we lost her? Is she back? No.
Can you guys hear me? I've been here the whole time, but I think maybe I'm not coming through the digitals today. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Can I just, I mean, I'm not sure what the timing is, but there is something I really would like to just sort of advise for dance makers coming to festivals and that kind of stuff. So, just to understand how a festival sort of works in terms of stuff coming through to you from the dance makers. And there's some festivals, for example, I believe Toronto Hot Docs Festival, if you don't submit your material as per the brief from the publicity department, they will reject it and they won't even use it. And there's reasons for this, is because it's a sheer volume. So, for example, if you get asked for a biog of 150 words in a Word document, please send it in 150 words in a Word document, because it's easier for then the publications officer to cut and paste it and put it into the program. Don't send it as a 300-page PDF with photographs, because then it becomes really difficult to edit and it might not be edited in the way that you want to. The context of your, the description of your particular piece of work, be quite specific around that. Keep it short. Programs can't have 450 words about your particular piece, unless, of course, that's the only thing they're doing. The photographs, when you send in photographs, don't send in 50 photographs, send in a maximum of, say, 5. Make sure that they're labeled, so it says, Sharlene Versfeld's 01 picture, Sharlene Versfeld 02 picture. So when it goes in, it can be filed properly, and send them in as JPEGs, not as TIFFs, as 300 megabyte pictures, So there are all these things when you get asked as a dance maker to submit stuff to the festival, because they're then going to send it out to the media. And if your photograph is not labeled correctly, someone's got to do the work back end. So just in terms of getting your stuff again to the top of the pile, is submit your stuff as it gets asked for. Yeah. So that's just a tip and a hint. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I really appreciate that about let's say more formal applications, or more formal presenting your work on a more formal platform, because this is going to sound so horrible, but because let's be honest, the digital world is a bit of a free for all. And so the sort of formalizes the process, and you can clear out what is what.
And it also means that you've done your homework and things. If you've done it for that piece of work, then it's ready for the next festival. You know what I mean? So I also think the other thing is, for example, in Jomba at the moment, there's one dancer who's really working the room, as I would say. So he's asked for some material, he's asked for this, he wants to go put it out there and all that sort of thing. And I often use the example of a film festival that I worked on, where a young filmmaker who had a not so great film came in, and he really, really wanted everyone to see his film, but no one was really going to see it because it, wasn't that great. But he sat in my media office for 10 whole days, and I think his film was seen by probably every single media person that was there because he worked the room. Now, obviously, you can't do that in the same context, but I'm on the other side of an email address or a phone for a dancer to say, please, can you send me this? Or what about this? Or here's some more stuff, or whatever it is to actually engage with the publicist and work with the publicist with your own followers. So, for example, Sasha, you've got like, I don't know, however many thousand people following
Not
you.
many.
So if you're doing your own thing and, there 50 different people all doing their pushing stuff out, it means that the festival is going to get more traction. This particular filmmaker, he did extremely well. His film didn't, but he did well, and people know who he is now because he really worked the room. So yeah, that's just some little tips. Yeah.
Thanks, Shal. Thank you so much for those tips. I'm going to switch my video off so my sound is a little bit better. We're right at the end of the session, and I'm so sorry that I was so in and out, but I want to say thank you to both of you for being such fantastic panelists and also friends who just were able to carry on even when I wasn't in the room. I think although we don't know everything at this point, we are learning, and to have conversations like this is so important because I think just sharing knowledge, there's things that I never knew that I've found out today. And I'm sure there's other people who have picked up on some things. Do you guys want to have any last closing moments? Any last kind of remarks? Even if you want to plug yourself, Sash, or if you want to plug Jomba, Shal, you go right ahead and do it. This is your moment.
Sasha, go for it. Plug yourself.
No, I just wanted to say, I don't know. The digital world is amazing and magical, and I love it. But it's also extremely complicated, and it's just something that you're figuring out as you go. And I don't know what else to say. Thank you. Actually, I should be saying thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this. It's been so cool to chat and to connect with other people in the same industry. So thank you, Toby, and thank you, Sharlene.
Thank you. So my closing thing is that this digital platform has been so exciting to see how we have made friends globally. So we can see on where we have people liking and engaging with us on social media, where they're from. And I love it that at the moment we have a whole, in the last while we've had 30, 40 people from India who are obviously following the Pickle Factory's work that's going to be presented, who have liked our page, who have engaged with us on particular posts and that kind of thing. And then we see, we see all over the world where people are actually are noticing Jomba, which I think is absolutely fantastic. Seeing people liking from Kenya and Lagos and Uganda and that kind of stuff is really exciting. And we saw that start from last year. So that is great, and going forward, when we go into our real lives of actually performing on stage and that kind of stuff, it'll be interesting to see how we can keep up those relationships. But the feeling of a global dance family is very real in this digital space. And I think that is just absolutely awesome. And if there's anything we've got out of this pandemic, has been a connection and a real connection with our family of contemporary dance lovers, and see Chicago dance and and Lauren and the people involved with Kaluma, Sarah Lee across the globe, across the waters, and it's been fantastic to just see people connecting globally. Yeah. So if there is that, let's hold on to that and see how we can build those bridges. Yeah.
Cool, guys. Thank you so much. And I do think what you say, Shal, is that we've, although COVID has been such a difficult time, it has brought some great opportunities. So to everybody who's watching and who's in the room, please do like, share, follow the people that you do meet on the Jomba streets. Please don't be shy to comment on the posts that you see. Please don't be shy to hashtag Jomba 2021. And please, join us tonight as the Ace Music and Dance performance. They are from the UK. So just in that, we're able to watch work that is from across the world. And from the little teasers that Sharlene and Wesley has put together, it looks like an amazing performance. So hopefully we'll see you all at 7 p.m. And then tomorrow we will be doing the next Forging Alliances conversations, which will be connecting production lines, where we will be speaking to Wesley Maheri and Thabo Kule, who are both production managers, stage managers, and lighting design. So if you have any questions and if you have any comments, tune in tomorrow at 3 p.m. and hopefully my connection won't be so bad. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, Joey. Thanks,
Have a
Sasha.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Bye.